beat up but won't be broken. Lonesome but always searching. Homesick but nobody's heading home soon.
For a company like us, we heavily concentrate our efforts in those large concentrated markets, whether they're in the big mature markets such as the US, Germany, UK, or some of the highly growing emerging markets such as China, Brazil, India and Russia. I see the move to more alternatives as a much more flexible way of being able to manage the sales and marketing mix in many of these markets. For Suter, I think that's a great opportunity. I think they're well placed in many parts of the world. They offer a very good flexible service and have a certain critical size that helps players like us to come to a one-stop shop, if you like, in order to find the best solution for our sales and marketing needs.
When we look at outsourcing, what we're looking for is building a long-term partnership with that company. And it's very important for us. It's not just about driving costs out of our business. It's about how we can develop the business going forwards. And we realise that in certain areas that external companies are going to have the skill set that we don't have internally. So we're looking all the time for a company that will add value to our business. And that's what we found with Suter, that they can add value to what we do.
So for us at Comb, the benefit of looking at outsourcing is that while we're strong in some markets, we need a lot of resources to develop them in new markets. And before we actually invest in resources, before we try to understand the market, having I would say a network and partners that are better understanding the market, are better positioned for us to succeed and look at our brands, the way we would look at them, is why we look at outsourcing first and foremost to enter a new market. Once then the business is developed, we tend to then invest into our own resources to do that. And one of the things and one of the benefits that I liked about the Suter Alliance is not only that we found that network of resources around the world, of partners around the world, but they work with the same principles, the same way of working that allows us to kind of simplify how we look at brands and how we try to basically enter a new market. So it allows us to use less resources but more effectively. And that's why we've been successful in doing it now for a couple of years. And we look at expanding even more in other parts of the world, like Asia or Africa or Middle East in the future.
In terms of outsourcing, I think it's an interesting area for large companies like Procter & Gamble and many of our peer organisations, especially as we look at some of the non-core products, some of the big opportunities that may exist in generating, reviving the interest of some of the small brands, and particularly as we look at entering new markets.
The Suter International Alliance has provided great benefit to Cleanova. Most importantly, it has allowed this incredible speed and penetration of so many markets simultaneously, which would just not have been possible without this international network being there helping us succeed.
So I would say that international expansion is a really risky business for companies, whether they're large companies or small companies. And if you were to look at Europe, for example, there's such a wide range of regulatory environments, distribution channels, and also cultural factors. And I think before the Suter Alliance existed, that was a real issue for companies trying to get into, say, somewhere like Europe. And what Suter's brought to it is a kind of tried and trusted network that people can tap into.
The main benefits of the Suter conference is introducing me to the Alliance and the opportunity to do business outside of the United States. So the conference so far has been great in introducing me to lots of opportunities. I see the outsourcing area in the market growing incredibly, especially for a company like us that really has its core competencies in manufacturing and understanding the U.S. market. Outside the United States is truly a major benefit for us.
What I found great so far is the very interesting presentations from some of the key delegates. as well as also the opportunity to interact with other distributors and to see some very interesting product and market opportunities for the future. I see outsourcing becoming an increasingly more important trend, particularly in the developing world. As resources are constrained in some of the economies like Europe and the United States, companies look further afield to markets like Asia, the Middle East, Africa. DKSH, I think, is ideally positioned to help people within the SUTA Alliance, and we look forward to continuing our strong and collaborative relationship.
Our growth and success has been based on new products, innovation that we can bring to the market, and which SUTA has been a big part of it, and quality of service. We have definitely improved on the quality of service, and that's been a key issue in our success.
From my perspective, I feel it's a breakthrough in the communication. Like imagine today, for example, in this conference we are dealing with like more than 100 countries. I have seen distributors from everywhere. We can share our experience with some brand, for example. So it's really something very good.
I have to say that it's exceeded all my expectations. I think the atmosphere between the delegates and SUTA itself is very, very commendable. Everybody's very relaxed, they're willing to talk, they're willing to discuss, and they're willing to build relationships. And after all, that's why we're here. We want to build relationships with like-minded people.
What are the benefits for our company coming to the SUTA Alliance? I think, well, if you think of the saying, knowledge is power, I think that the knowledge that we gain from this conference is wonderful. The networking, the opportunities that are presented for us are outstanding. The speakers are great. Allows us to become informed about what is the future for us in our industry. In terms of the outsourcing, I think with the cost to serve today in most markets, and that's including Australasia, it's very important to keep in mind what we can bring to other brand owners in terms of what our offering can be. So I think that we're terribly excited by the information that we're gaining from the Alliance conference today and tomorrow, and we look forward also for the opportunities through the Alliance for the new product offerings and what we can do in our market to best serve those brand owners.